Good morning. Welcome to the program agenda. Thank you for joining us today and for being subscribers of Cignal TV. I'm just trying to get our monitors here in place. I can't seem to find our monitor at the moment, but anyway, there we go. Okay. Thank you for being with us this Wednesday morning. It's July 26, 2023, and I'm your host, Cito Beltran. Thanking you for being Cignal TV subscribers and for watching us, for those who watch us via Facebook and on YouTube. Today, in case you are studying what courses are there in college, or you are a person concerned with El Niño, with water, we are going to be interviewing someone who has dedicated a great part of her life regarding water, not just water management, but the technology, the science of water, I believe. But I won't get ahead of myself. We'll let the introductions do that. But in the meantime, let's get on with our program. And for those of you who missed me, well, I needed to take a short weekend vacation, but all is good. Now, let us now go to our daily starter today, and it goes like this. If it doesn't open, it's not your door. And it's quick, it's to the point. There are many people who keep trying and trying to get into a business, into a relationship, into a position, into a job, etc. And they just think that, try until you die, but you'd probably be dead if it's not for you. If it doesn't open, it's not your door. Don't be too persistent to the point of being illogical. Don't be too persistent to the point that everyone else has already pointed out. There's 10 other doors open. Why don't you check them out first? Okay, you can always set that door aside if it's not opening and go to the other doors of opportunity. So if it doesn't open, it's not your door. Okay, let's now go to the front page of the Philippine Star today, July 26, 2023, and the headline is Love the Filipinas. Philippines stuns New Zealand for first ever World Cup win. From Wellington, New Zealand, special delivery from the Philippines to the world. As has been their habit for the last 18 months, the amazing Filipinas defied the odds and proved they deserved their place among the elite in the strongest term possible as a winner of a FIFA Women's World Game. Thank you very much for that 1-0 score, Golden Bolden, and congratulations to the Philippine team. Meanwhile, BBM accepts resignation of 18 Philippine National Police officials over drugs. And in the same page, Marcos seeks to revitalize ties with Malaysia. President Marcos has left for Malaysia yesterday for a 3-day state visit that seeks to revitalize the Philippines' ties with its Southeast Asian neighbor. Meanwhile, evacuations ordered ahead of Super Typhoon. Egay swept toward northern Philippines yesterday, triggering evacuation orders for coastal communities expected to bear the brunt of the powerful storm. Egay, with international name Doksuri, was packing maximum sustained winds of 185 kilometers per hour as it roared toward the northern tip of the main island of Luzon. The Department of Information Communication Technology, meanwhile, declares they are on target as SIM shutdown begins. That's today. More than 105 million Filipinos have registered their SIM cards before the July 25 deadline, according to the Department of Information and Communication Technology. Quote, "We're on target," unquote. The ICT Secretary Ivan John Uy told reporters yesterday, period. Okay, now, further down in the front page, we have Bersamin, or Secretary Lucas Bersamin, stating, BBM living wage hike up to Congress. Malacanang is leaving it up to Congress to decide on bills seeking to raise the wages of workers nationwide, an issue not mentioned during President Marcos' second SONA State of the Nation address. And to the other side of the front page, or lower to that, we have lawmakers express support for BBM's second SONA. Several senators are supportive of President Marcos' State of the Nation address as they welcome the chief executive's pronouncements on various topics. Meanwhile, Philippine-Taiwan security tie-up not possible according to the Department of National Defense Chief. Not wanting to meddle in the internal affairs of China, the Philippines will never enter into any security cooperation agreement with Taiwan. We cannot, Defense Secretary Gilbert Chodoro told the chiefs over One News on July 24. Last but not the least, we have a photo in the bottom of the front page. Cavite Governor John Vic Remulla, General Trias City Mayor John Ferrer IV, and Alliance Global Group Inc. CEO Kevin Tan are joined by DPWH officials during the inauguration of the 12-kilometer General Trias and Tansa Bypass Road that connects to the interior roads of MegaWorld's Maple Grove Township. Okay, MegaWorld has opened its own roads for public use in order to help decongest traffic in this part of Cavite. And that's all of the news on the front page today. And as I've suggested time and again, please get yourself a physical copy, get a subscription, or go online for the digital copy subscription. And there are a lot more information and opinions, including the ones I myself write, and I do hope you enjoy it. Now, let's now go to our topic of conversation for this morning. We are going to be speaking to an expert, a professor. Let's roll out the... okay, wait a minute. I'm getting confused here. Okay, let's roll out the Betamax, Gabriel, if you don't mind.
Around 11 million families in the country still lack access to clean water. That's according to the NWRB, or the National Water Resources Board, earlier this year. NWRB Executive Director Sibilio David said these families still get their water from unsafe sources. These include deep wells, springs, rivers, lakes, and rainwater. Because of this, they are prone to waterborne diseases like typhoid, diarrhea, and leptospirosis, among others. In the recent report of the Philippine Statistics Authority, over 53,000 Filipinos died last decade because of waterborne diseases. What can the government do to make efficient and accessible water systems to all Filipinos? Let's discuss this on today's agenda.
Mayzonee Ligaray currently heads the Environmental Hydrology Laboratory of University of the Philippines, Diliman. She is also a faculty member of the university's Institute of Environmental Science and Meteorology. Ligaray is a licensed metallurgical engineer who took her doctorate degree in environmental science and engineering in Ulsan, South Korea.
Good morning, Professor. Welcome to the program agenda.
Good morning po, Sir Cito.
And please, relax lang tayo. Wala nang Sir Cito. Pareho tayong tiga-UP. Pareho tayong scholar ng bayan. I picked up on write-up about you and water and DMCI, water conservation projects, etc. And it's something close to my heart because I have lived in many parts of the Philippines, and water has always been a challenge. Buti dito sa Manila, you can get it off the tap. But out in the provinces, you might be able to get it out of the tap, but half of the time it's groundwater, or you get it out of a spring where I stayed in Palawan, etc. So I'm curious, Professor May, how do they call you? Professor May ba? Dr. May? Ano ba yung title mo?
May na lang po, sir.
Okay, May. No, but you are head of the hydrology lab. Excuse me, you have a PhD from South Korea. Hindi small effort siya, accomplishment mo. So anyway, but do they call you professor or doctor?
Most of the time po ay Doc May or May na lang po for
Okay.
those are senior to me.
Okay, so well, anyway, May, how did you get into this science, into this field? Because not everybody seems to have been taking water, hydrology, etc., metallurgy seriously until the last 10 years, I suppose.
Sir, actually, first of all, I'm a metallurgical engineer. But however, when I graduated, I realized that I want to deal more with the environment. And it just so happens that my internship, when I was still in UP, studying my undergraduate course, I was working in an environmental management facility. So they manage wastes, including wastewater, and I was assigned to that, and it really fascinated me how you can deal with a lot of wastewater, and so that's what I how can I say? That's what I pursued for my master's thesis, wastewater treatment, and then moving on to the PhD, I really loved what I did during my master's, and so I just pushed more into the water research. And so now I'm focusing on managing water and watersheds, and really the movement of water, distribution, and etc. in our environment.
Okay, so do you refer to that whole thing as a field, as a science, or as an industry? Because it seems that wastewater management in the Philippines is still in its infantile or pediatric level pa, kumbaga baby pa yata eh.
Yes, I do agree na medyo young pa siya, but there are a lot of technology already involved in wastewater treatment, especially. So what I can say is that I deal more on the field, the hydrology field, most specifically environmental hydrology. So it's a study of water. So it's a science approach in studying water, and so it really involves the water cycle, and so and so it's a bigger umbrella.
Mhm.
If I can say that right, it's a bigger umbrella of a science, and so,
Mhm.
for me, it really, how can I say, it also became a passion because from what I think what I saw in the video before, we know that Philippines has really a huge problem with water security, and
Mhm.
so going into deeper how it circulates really in our environment is, I think, a one of the best things to counter that problem.
Okay, now you're into hydrology, metallurgy. You are head of the UP Hydrology Laboratory. Now, there's been a lot of talk about, as you pointed out, water security, and I think there is a push right now in Congress to put up a Department of Water Resources or something. Tama ba yun?
I think water resources, as I know, but it was also mentioned to me before, that I think Department of Water, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure if it's Department of Water Resources.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm wrong in that, but yeah, I heard about the push for a separate department.
Okay, and so as far as that is concerned, have you in the UP community been involved in that development?
Not really. I think, as I've heard, the Department of Environmental and Natural Resources are involved in that. So I wasn't contacted. Maybe they only asked me for. I'm not sure if it's a part of it, but I was asked about my opinion on it before.
Yeah, and what did you share regarding the setting up of a Department of Water or Department of Water Resources? Because it's not unique. There are many countries that do have government agencies or departments, especially nowadays where water security is a serious concern. What were your inputs, or what's your opinion on how we should set up a Department of Water from your perspective?
From In my opinion, it's a really good move to have a separate department for water. Especially since we are currently experiencing the water security issues that we have now. I think in the past 10 years, there are, even in NCR, in Metro Manila, we already experienced, I think, maybe twice the um,
Mhm.
I mean, we couldn't get any water from the dams and etc. And so, having a separate department focusing on the water issues would really help target what are the root causes of this. And so, right now we are, I think one of my passion projects is to look into the framework of our water management, or water resources management here in the Philippines. And we did observe that it's quite fragmented as of now. So focusing
Mhm.
one department would really help make these issues and addressing these issues more streamlined. So yeah, that's my
Yeah.
opinion.
Well, that's correct. Correct. That's a very correct observation. It's fragmented. The water resource management in the Philippines is fragmented, and it is composed of so many parts. One, you have the environmental aspect where you have this concept of tree cover, of mountains that have that you or watersheds that are poorly or managed, etc. Then you have the state of our dams that are all older than me. or as old as my parents, perhaps, or my lolo. And then you also have this issue of recycling water, used water from residential areas, and of course the runoffs. The more concrete you have in a large swaths of land, the less water the ground is able to absorb. In your field, what or in your opinion, what should be the priority right now, May?
I think the priority is really determining the root causes of these water security issues. So, having said that, one of the key points here is to really look at the available water that we have in our watersheds. Especially since the dams that you have mentioned belong to watersheds, and so the proper management of these watersheds could help in kind of alleviating our not really addressing or solving our problem, but at least we know like how can we act from now on to address the issue. So it could be like, okay, maybe water reclamation or water recycling. So there are a lot of technologies that are already existing that can address this kind of issue. And so that's how I can say encountered like the DMCI water treatment facility, or they have the water reclamation facility, and so they showed me that, and I think that was a great idea for their condominiums. And
could you share a little on that experience, because we didn't get to reach out to the DMCI people until we've spoken to you, because we don't want it to look commercial or promotional, but I want it to be science. What did you see at the DMCI facilities that impressed you?
Okay, so to be transparent, I'm not connected to a DMCI,
Yeah.
and they didn't ask me about promoting or something. But what I really liked about that idea is that they are really active in really addressing the issue, and they're aware of that issue. And so their technology that they have for their condominium, for example, is a good example, is a good effort on their part that they are aware and trying to address this issue. And it could be a great start if other industries can also try to implement other technologies as well that are appropriate for their industry. And so that's what I'm really pushing the solving the water security issue in using technologies that are existing now.
So like in DMCI, they're recycling the gray water, correct?
Yes, they are recycling the gray water, and also they have a rainwater harvesting. As I can remember, they have the rainwater harvesting technology that they have in their condominium.
So the bottoms, I suppose, below their foundation or bottoms of the buildings, there are cisterns, catchments, where all of the water from the rain run into that, and any excess it just spills off. Now, I don't know if you covered this, but we were talking about the different areas of concern for water, runoffs, for natural water, etc. If the president or the government were to ask, okay, what would give us the fastest return at the lowest cost to make sure that would add to our water security? Because people have been, in the past administration, people made an issue of sewage, of water and sewage and recycling plants, etc. And in other administrations, people are making an issue of replanting the hillsides, etc. As a hydrologist, metallurgist, what would give us the quickest result at the lowest cost?
That's very interesting because I think if we really do it in a science approach, I would suggest that it's really like a revamp, but it would cost a lot, revamp
Yeah.
of how we develop our urban areas, maybe cities. But I think it will still cost a lot and take a lot, really take a lot of effort to do as well. And so we already have the, I think, the greening program. But for me, it's just the tip of the iceberg, the tree planting, for example, because it's not really a long term, it's not a short term solution, but it's really good that we continue this greening program, replanting our forest and etc. But I think on how we can approach our urban development is to include our environment in that development. So currently now, I think what we see is that there are a lot of cities with concrete roads, and I think
Yes.
to Manila as well. We already have fewer green areas, or
Mhm.
this is what I call the pervious areas, where water can infiltrate back to the ground, where it can be stored in the groundwater storages, or what we call the aquifers. And so the fastest way maybe is to include the environment in the planning from now on. But for a long-term solution or long-term way to address these things is to evaluate our current cities and watersheds. How many percentage is pervious area? How many percentage is built up areas? And
Mhm.
maybe we can set a certain percentage of pervious areas that should be retained
What
from.
what what is the ideal space, open space? Because I learned about open space concepts many years ago from a friend, a Swiss architect, who told me, Cito, you need at the very least 80-20, 80% developed area, 20% open space, unpaved, natural. And now some people are pushing for 70-30. Others are pushing for even vertical foliage and cover, etc. But in your estimation or in your knowledge, what should be the formula in terms of built up versus open?
For me, I really didn't consider about setting the percentage. It's like I also studied the low impact development technologies before, and so it's like integrating the, how can I say, like integrating the environment into
Mhm.
the into planning the city. Is just for example, we have a pervious concrete, so it's like it can still let water pass through it and infiltrate to the ground, but it's concrete, which can be maybe used as a parking space or or on the sidewalks. So it's
Mhm.
built up, but it has an ability to let water pass through it. So it's technically not an open space like an unpaved ground, for example, but it's part of the built up area that people can use, people can walk on, people can park their cars, but it can also let water uh, infiltrate back to the ground. And so this could lessen flooding, for example, and accumulation of the water with or of runoff, which can lead to flooding. And so I think in that concept, we call it the LID. In that concept, it's we cannot really put a percentage because there are areas that large areas that water can pass through. So
Okay, so with permeable surface, is that technology? I know the technology of pavers. For those of you, ladies and gentlemen, who are not familiar, these are like brick blocks or design blocks that are like a puzzle put over sidewalks. So they look nice. They are laid on top of a sand foundation, and the water goes through the pavers, goes through the sand, and enters the soil. So it allows the water to naturally flow down below ground instead of flooding areas or running off to the Pasig River or to the nearest canal. But for the permeable road concrete technology or system, is that already being used here, May?
in the Philippines, I'm not sure, but I encountered it abroad. When I was still in Korea, they have this facility that really they use the permeable concrete, and they showed us how it works. And for me, it really gave me an idea that I think this is a best way for now, because we do have a lot of impervious or built up areas in Metro Manila, and so we also have a problem with flooding. And having this permeable concrete lined through the lined on our parking spaces, or even our sidewalks, and those streets that does not really let trucks, the large or heavy trucks, pass through. So I think the problem of that is that it couldn't it cannot support a huge truck with a heavy load. But for streets that are maybe the narrow ones that only let bicycles or a small car pass through, it can be used for those cases, and our sidewalks as well. And so I think, yeah, it can maybe solve our problem with the flooding.
No, that's very good to hear, and that's one of the reasons why we invited you, because of your exposure. Because I just recently returned from Taiwan, and one thing I noticed in Taipei City, in the city of Taipei, I mean, is that they had surprisingly a lot of trees. In the densely well, not densely populated, but in Taiwan, there's so many buildings. Everything is just right next to each other. It's really built up, and yet they have a lot of trees. They maintain their trees, they prune the trees, etc. And as you pointed out, open space. There were a lot of parks. And when you look at it, it just makes sense that, because I think they also have a problem with water in Taiwan, because I noticed practically every building that we were passing by on the freeway, every building had 2 or 3 huge water tanks, and we were kind of we have water tanks in Metro Manila and the Philippines, but not this many. So obviously water is a concern, but they have a lot of trees. So you're correct in the tree and open space. Now, what is your particular field of concern, or what are you focusing on at the moment in terms of water management, hydrology, etc.? What is closest to your heart, Doc May?
For now, we do have this project in ISM with my co-faculty, Dr. Cayetano. It's about river rehabilitation. So we, excuse me, we want to come up with a model rehabilitation for rivers. So that is my one of my focus on the on at the moment. And so I think back in 2020 or 2021, it was highlighted by DNR as well that we do need to rehabilitate our rivers because currently they are really polluted, and so these are sources of our water as well. And so it's like one problem in our water security is that our rivers, most of our rivers are polluted. So that's another thing to consider, that even they have the classification, a water classification for the bodies of water, and even a class A, which is a class A water bodies are sources of our water actually. So what we use in our homes, and so most of them are already polluted. And I think coming up with a model rehabilitation plan and including the community to really look at our rivers and take care of our rivers is a they say it should be a focus at the moment. And so yeah, like that's one of my passion projects now. And also watershed management, that's also one thing.
It's good that you raised that point, because a lot of people here are quite extreme about things. It's like it's a river. People shouldn't live in it. People should be away from the rivers, etc. And then the pollution, etc. But in Taipei, I noticed something very interesting. They had a river. I'm sorry, my memory of Chinese names is poor. So, but it was after Jufen. We were on the road, and when we got there, it was a slow river. It wasn't a deep river, but it was wide. It was slow flowing. But at the end, they had dammed it up, and a portion had been allowed to run off, creating a natural quote unquote waterfalls. And that area was developed as a tourist attraction, and there were a lot of stores, a lot of restaurants, but they were all clean. If you looked at the river was clean. So it is possible to reconcile between the DENR, the Department of Tourism, the DILG, to work on these projects with people like you and the university.
Yes, that is a really smart way for Taiwan, no, to really to include a lot of things that really make up their how can I say, economy, maybe, because at the end of the day we are concerned about the cost that it will take. And so making it a tourist attraction could also return their investment, I would say, in trying to beautify the river or something like that. So including the other parts of our society in planning. And then as of now, you're right, sir, that we do have a lot of inhabitants along the river. So there are a lot of people living there. And so that's also one of the observations that we have made in the area that we studied for the project. And so we're not really saying that they should move out of there immediately or something, but we are trying to look into their reasons why they are there. And so
well, they could be natural residents of the area.
Yeah,
they could actually, indigenous to the area. And I think if anyone should benefit from those areas, it should be them. If the government can create tourist attractions or livelihood, then those are the people who should. It's like they talk about zoning, but they don't really talk about listing true residents. Dito, kung sino yung may pera, they can go to that area, build up a store, and then stay in the city. So anyway, that's a totally different, that's a UP mindset.
Yes, sir. So for us, sir, we could. I mean, I know that you are in the science field, but we need to include the society, the community in trying to manage, the river, because as you have mentioned, they might have been living there for a long time already, and so they know better. What was the previous state of the river, and so we want them to realize and be aware that their actions can contribute to the degradation of the river, and so including them, the individuals, in the effort to rehabilitate the river is a good step towards a long-term maintenance, maybe, or sustenance of the river.
What is the global or scientific direction of hydrologists, of water conservationists regarding irrigation? Because the irrigation in our part of the world is necessary for rice, for farms, etc. But then, when you think of countries like Israel, they say, we don't do it that way. We are very efficient, or even the Netherlands, they're very efficient with their water management. Now, what is the global direction, and what should the Philippines consider? Because you've traveled, I'm sure. Is there a best example we can copy? Because that is where that is what I teach to everyone. Don't try to be original. Just copy something that really, really works. It'll be faster.
Agree, sir. But for me, regarding the irrigation, no, it's not really a problem, but of course we need that for our agriculture, and so I really want to, as an opinion from a hydrologist, I really want to look into the practices that they are doing at the moment, and come up with a best management practice for their crops, for example, because there are a lot of crops that are they take up a lot of water, and so how can we manage the irrigation of that? And so come up with several scenarios that could lessen the water usage for the irrigation.
Yeah, it has been suggested that we should put a stop to the open top irrigation or canal irrigation, and that all irrigation systems in the country should be piped because of the evaporation, etc. And what about our dams? Because I suddenly remembered there are places in the world, or not even just countries, but people who have put up floating balls or floating nets, etc., to reduce irrigation in ponds, in water collection areas. What do you know is happening as far as our dams are concerned? As a hydrologist, are you concerned that we might be losing water retention capability?
Okay, so I think I know about this, what the balls in the on the water, just to cover the water surface. I think it's in US. I saw that Massachusetts maybe, but it's not really a good practice. I think it became a problem with them. So for me, we do need dams, to store our water, and also especially for a huge community as populated as the Metro Manila, and for that matter, I really want to push through with the watershed management, because basically our dams are part of watersheds, and really dive into like why we have this low water level. So it
Yeah.
might not be because of the climate, for example, or maybe we are overusing the water. And so a part of what I want to do is really to assess the water usage, the water demand, and if this particular dam or the available water in that watershed is capable of sustaining this number of people living in that watershed. So I think assessment, first and foremost, is needed to really set a, how can I say, to really set a limit as to how many people can or how many households can use this amount of water from this dam. So yeah, I think our water usage should be part of the assessment. And
Yeah, growing population,
yes,
growing economy or industries, etc. And also, so is it safe to say, Doc May, that any study or all the studies related to water management is also fragmented?
okay, so yes, yes, sir. I think it's safe to say that, because there are a lot of things really that involves water, and there are a lot of areas of research that deals with water. So when we say wastewater treatment or water treatment, those are two different things.
Yeah.
And for that, those are about treatments, about water and wastewater treatment. But dealing with the technologies involved for that is two different studies. And so here, like, water research is really a huge field of study. And so I think in this case, you're right that it's fragmented, and that's why I really want to push through with the assessment first. Like, what are we really facing right now? And so, like, trying to include as well the community, include the natural factors that are contributing to the water security issue. And so that's what I want to.
Do you have any idea how long and how much such a comprehensive study would take? Because I left the country a few days ago, and once again I had to pay travel tax. And I was asking, I'm paying 1,600 or 1,000 something for travel tax to pass through the same airport that I have been passing through for the last 40 years or so. And so you kind of wonder, but the things like this comprehensive study that you're suggesting is going to be a major issue in the next 2 years. I am certain of that. Once we start having problems with serious water shortage and we don't know the answers or the whys, then we're going to have a problem. But how much do studies like this cost, and how long do they take?
So regarding the cost, there are a lot of equipment involved in monitoring water, actually. So the problem right now, to be honest, is that we don't really have enough monitoring data that we can use to start this. I mean, we already have some data, but it's not, it's, how can I say?
Well, like the Philippine Statistics Authority, their data is usually 2 years behind.
Yeah.
No offense to the PSA. It's it's all collection when you're dealing with 110 million Filipinos. This takes time between 7,100 islands. Reality is it is going to be delayed. So
That's true.
just getting the population demographic data takes at least a year or 2 years, and then we don't have the technical, or do we have the machinery, the equipment that's monitoring all of the because they always seem, oh, it's lower today, but I said, yeah, it's a stick in the river. No one is measuring the flow of water, the evaporate rate of evaporation, etc. So what else, Doc May?
Actually, what we're facing now is that we do have a huge lack of data to really have a comprehensive study for our water demand or even water available water assessment. And so amping up these monitoring activities would be a good start, because when we say hydrology, it's really a long timeline of history of water. And so it for example, we do have watershed models. It's like building a model in a computer that would accurately imitate the processes of water in a watershed. And so building that model, it takes around a minimum of a decade of flow rate of the river. So it's already like you need to have 10 years of data already. And
10 years of data.
yeah,
Oh,
so
wow.
that's a minimum if you want to have an accurate watershed model. It's to assess the rate of evapotranspiration, rate of infiltration of the river, and assess the available water of the watershed per year. And so
Okay. We have to go for a very quick break, Doc May. But thank God it's raining, so we still have water here in Capitolio, Pasig. We'll be right back after a few reminders. Okay, welcome back to the program agenda. And with us is Professor Dr. Mayzonee Ligaray of the UP Environmental Hydrology Laboratory. And we are talking about gathering data to properly understand our state of the nation for water. Okay, kumbaga, no? But apparently you said, Doc May, that it takes 10 years to gather data because you need to create a model that accurately simulates Of course, yan, digital lahat yan, computer yan, correct?
Yes po, sir. Yes, at 10 years of data is what I say, especially to my students who are currently studying watershed modeling right now. And so 10 years of data because we're not sure if that data is good quality-wise as well. So we also need to assess if the data that we have gathered is actually within reason. So we don't know, like there are a lot of factors that could affect the quality of the data. And so that's why I said that a minimum of 10 years would be enough. But if we look at the other countries, what their papers in trying to assess their water and watersheds, they are trying to assess 50 years of data, and so data from the 1800s that we don't really have right now. And so yeah, having access to that huge amount of data would be a good okay, so it would be good for us researchers, so that we can produce quality research as well that could help our country, hopefully.
Okay, well, question is, okay, do we have enough experts in the field here in the country? Because, okay, you have a department there in UP, you have a laboratory, etc. Where are we in terms of people or young or interest in the field of water management, hydrology, etc.?
Okay, looking at our current status, we did try to assess the research that was put towards the water and water management or watersheds or watershed management, and we found out that it's quite a few. Really few, really few right now. So we are pushing to train more researchers. Currently in the Institute of Environmental Science and Meteorology, where I currently teach, we're trying to encourage our students to also learn more about our water resources, especially the freshwater resources and etc. And how can we manage them well, and try to understand the science behind the water cycle, hydrologic cycle in the Philippines. And that's how we found out that okay, there are only a few that are available at the moment. So that's where we can put more effort in, like training future researchers, especially future hydrologists.
Okay, well, I'm certain that that's going to be an area of expertise that will be in high demand in the within probably after 5 years. So those enrolling now, when they graduate, will probably be in demand when the water runs out. Hopefully not. But Dr. May, thank you very much for your time today. And I do hope that the university is recognized for its efforts, for its contributions in this field, and particularly you. Thank you. And God bless you, Dr. May.
Thank you, Sir Cito. And thank you to Agenda for inviting me here.
Okay. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Dr. Mayzonee Ligaray, currently head of the Environmental Hydrology Laboratory of the University Philippines in Diliman. Let's now go to our closing prayer for the week. And Gab, if you would. Okay, here we go. From the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 18 to 19. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. I pray to God that He does make streams in our wastelands here in the Philippines, and that He would prosper us in His mercy. And may all of you have a great week ahead, a great day. Please try to stay safe and warm. It's raining every now and then. And please keep us in your prayers, and please keep it here on One News.